Okay, in this video, I'm going to continue with our onboarding and setup series and go over the phone system, adding phone numbers, configuring phone numbers, etc. So we're going to start off assuming we don't have any phone numbers. We're a brand new setup and we need to purchase a phone number. So what we will do is over on the left, go to settings and phone. First thing to do, we don't have it go to it automatically because it's the only time you really ever have to do it unless you move. You need to make sure you have an emergency address. Phone providers in the US are required to pass on the registered address for phone numbers, so we have to make sure we get that. Once that's done, you're fine, unless you obviously move and have to change it. Every other time, you'll come into phone numbers. Over here on the right, hit the plus, and now what we find is we search. If it's voice enabled, SMS, MMS, fax, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who uses fax, but whether that phone line is capable, and then match to anywhere. So it's anywhere in the number. So if you wanted cell 7355 somewhere in the phone number, you didn't care where, you can have anywhere. If you wanted it in the first part, meaning part of the area code, or the last part, you can select that, whichever the case is. So let's go with last part, and I'll do 7355. That's cell, and I'm going to search. Now, because I said last part, the system goes, okay, that's what we care about. We're not concerned about the area code. If I wanted to search for an area for an area code of, I don't know what 735 is for an area code, probably nowhere. Let's do 405. Boom, I find things that are 405. If I want things that are 405267, I want to be very specific with the number. I put that in. Now I see 405267 numbers. Okay. Here, it can handle voice, SMS, MMS, can't handle fax. Dang, okay. Oklahoma and Byers, Oklahoma is where this phone number originally would have been provisioned for. So you select whatever phone numbers you want. If you want to select more than one, I was wrong. You select one at a time here. You give it a friendly name, just a way for you to help remember what it is. Uh, Main phone number, and hit buy. At this point, phone number created successfully, so we've already provisioned it from our phone provider. You have the phone. Now, a couple other things need to happen. We have the phone number here. Most of the time, you're not going to need to touch the caller ID. The main time that people use the caller ID is if they want the same number to go out every time, regardless of what number they're calling from. So, you know, if you have different direct lines for people, but you don't want them to show up when they call somebody, you want it to always be your 444-7355. You could have that happen. Right now, it's not assigned anywhere. The friendly name that we had is main phone number. Default number, default notifications aren't selected. I'm going to go ahead and select default notifications. I'm not going to worry about default number. So any notifications that are sent from Pete are going to come from this number. That way you know always this is the number they're coming from. So that's the basic setup. Come over here to voice prompts. This is where you'll want to upload recordings for your voicemail. For instance, your voicemail message or messages, because you can have different messages for different lines. If you're going to record calls, which the system does by default, if you're going to record calls and your um, locality requires some sort of notification like, hey, all calls are recorded, this is where you would upload that recording as well. And you can see them, you can preview them from here, you can listen to them. Coming back over to the left, your IVRs, you can come in, select what prompt you had. So you could have an IVR for your leads and a different IVR for your property management. So you select what message you want it to say, name your IVR, what message you want to say, the number of times you want it to repeat before it hangs up if somebody's not pressing anything, and then what your actions are. So, if somebody presses 1, I want it to go directly to voicemail. And I would select the voicemail message I want it to prompt or give the person. If I want to put a tag on the property, I can put it here. So an easy example is, if you want to be removed from our list, press 1. If you want to speak to somebody about selling your house, press 2. You could add a tag for take me off list, and then that property will automatically have that tag on there. If I wanted it to go in a round robin to a specific team, I don't have team set up in here. I can select the team, and then I could say, and I want whoever answers it to be the lead manager for this property. If they pressed 1. If they press 2, we can select other settings. So this is where your IVR settings are. General, record calls and transcribe calls are on by default. And here's where you can select your generic recording. So you saved your voice prompts over here. This is where you can set them. Let me add a voice prompt here. I'm going to come choose an audio file. Doesn't really matter. We're not going to listen to it. Test prompts. Okay, so you can now see if I wanted to listen to it, I could listen to it here. I can change the name, I can change the file. Then over here in general settings, if it was all calls are recorded for quality assurance type recording, I can select it here, being recorded prompt. If you're using the queue where somebody can call in, they just wait for the next person to available, you want to have some music or a message, you can select that here. Voicemail prompt, just your default voicemail. If you're a simple company, you just need one voicemail message, then that's the only place you have to set it. And then invalid key pressed, if somebody's in IVR pressing 6 and you only have 4 options, what do you want it to say? And your system will have defaults in here for most of these as well. And that is the basics of the phone system settings. Now, some other aspects that come up, if you're porting in phone numbers, there's going to be a different video for you on that. Just search for porting in phone numbers. And porting in is the process of moving phone numbers from your previous provider or current provider, I guess, over to Beat. And then there's also the aspect of setting these up so they can be tied to a campaign, which I'll cover the campaigns here in just a minute.